thing.
All right, y'all. Welcome to our November leadership call. We have a special guest who is going to share all of her leadership skills and tips and tricks with us. Tori Farrell, she just promoted to star director in case you guys missed all the announcements. She is now a star director. Congratulations, Tori. This is huge, y'all. In case you guys don't know, if you're new here, welcome to your first leadership call. And star director is only one promotion from the very tippity top of this company. So it is a huge, huge, huge deal. Okay. You can't just get to star director on accident. So Tori is going to share all of her tips and tricks. If you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Okay. And engage while she is sharing all of her things. Katie, do you have anything to say before Tori goes?
Nope, not a thing.
All right. Tori, let me spotlight you and then you can go. All right, you ready, girl?
Can you guys hear me? Am I still on mute or can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
You're good.
Okay. Okay, good. So I just want to start. First, I'm Tori. I did promote to star director last month. And I always like to start with kind of giving you guys my scenario because I feel like sometimes it's easier to understand maybe why I do the things the way I do. I do work full-time, a 9 to 5. I'm actually a team lead in that position. So I kind of do the I guess leading thing all day long, really. And I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I am married. And I kind of want to I don't know that I ever in speaking had talked about my why and why I joined Scentsy. When I joined, I had just had my youngest, Grayson, literally the week of COVID shutdown when they told everybody to go home and not come back out. I had just gave birth to him in the hospital and we came home to being told, you need to stay home and do all these things. At first, I think just because you're in the whirlwind of being a parent, new mom to a baby, having another kid at home, I was good. And then anxiety hit really bad. I had felt normal, like new mom anxiety, in my opinion, I guess whatever's normal to me, when I had Noah, but with Grayson, I ended up having panic attacks. I was just worried about everything. You don't want your children to be sick anyway, but this was just a whole new thing. And the panic attacks were bad. I had never experienced chest crippling, I think I'm having a heart attack, panic attack type of thing. And part of it, I laugh now, but I literally every single week, I was like, do I have COVID? I can't breathe. Every other day, I'm having trouble breathing. And Mike's like, Tori, we don't go anymore. What are you talking? No, what are you talking about? So it just so happened in the midst of being home on maternity leave, I was scrolling and came across my sponsor, Courtney. We had actually crossed paths back in high school and she was using cleaning products that I fell in love with. Ended up having a party. And during that party, I think I was so busy sharing all this stuff that I was loving, all these things with my friends, that my mind checked out of the worry. I know that sounds very weird, but I found that I'm a person when I'm busy, a lot of the things that dig me down into a hole, I don't focus on. I wasn't focusing on the germs, the control. I wasn't focusing on my breathing. I wasn't focusing on those things because I was so wrapped up in other stuff. And during it, Courtney was like, you're really good at you're already going live, you're interacting with everyone, you're really good at this. Have you ever considered it? I'm like, no, I've never considered, not really my thing. I normally don't even host parties. She had to beg me to do that. I was just going to place a big order and buy all my stuff and not worry about it. So I was like, I don't think so. She's like, okay, well, you should probably think about it. in the midst of it, I brought it up to my husband, like, you won't believe what Courtney said. She said that I was really good at this and I should just give it a try. And he literally looked me dead in the face and was like, yeah, you should. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, this is literally the happiest. And I know this sounds so crazy, right? Because I just had a newborn, everyone's healthy, everyone like cloud nine, right? This is the happiest we've been in a few months. And I kind of like had to do like a self-reflect, like, you know what? I haven't been so wrapped up in new Norm and is sick and does he has a sniffle and is this and who's coming to visit and have you done this and have you that I've just been so wrapped up in this. I haven't been paying attention to that. I haven't had the time to go down in that rabbit hole that takes me forever to get back out of. So I hemmed and hawed and I was like, I don't think I want to do it. And he was like, why? I'm like, well, what if it's a bust? And he was like, who cares if it's a bust? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't like to fail. And he was like, well, you give everything 100% anyway. So who cares? So then you spend some money and you move on. And I was like, oh, okay. So I told Courtney, I was like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. And here I am. And to say that Scentsy has literally been, well, first off, mentally, it was life-changing, right? I felt so much healthier. I wasn't focusing on those things that were just literally sabotaging my experience of life at that point. But obviously the added, we've done so much. The trips, I took my family to Disney, like a lot of things have been so positive. I'm so incredibly thankful, but it just goes to show that not everybody joins to make it a hustle. Not everybody joins for the same reason. How I ended up here is not necessarily my goal now, right? Because that thing that's changed. There's other things that I'm trying to achieve through Scentsy. But my start was really just trying to be mentally healthy for my kids, for myself, all of that. So I think that's really important for me to share because it just shows like I didn't jump in this necessarily to hustle or to make money or to do any of these other things. But it happened. But so I'm so incredibly thankful. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't think I ever had. Now going into a leadership role happened really quick. I don't remember when I hit director, but it was like a few months in, which was insane. I obviously had not learned everything. I still don't know everything by any means, but it just happened super fast. And I found that the best way for me to lead was one, to hold myself accountable. And by doing that, I mean, being honest about what was a priority. And I know a lot of the leaders on here have talked about that. I know Ray and Katie and even Chloe have touched on, like, if you say you don't have time, you're really just saying it's not your priority. And that's fine. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to be your priority. And there's some weeks where Scentsy isn't my priority, right? My son just had a 4th birthday and pretty much from like Wednesday to Sunday, Scentsy was not my priority. I jumped right on my group page this week and said, hey, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I was missing from my parties I had going. Hindsight, probably shouldn't have booked any during my son's birthday, maybe, or maybe I should have reorganized. I haven't been posting all the time in my VIP page as heavily as I normally do. I haven't caught up on Happy Mail. That's not like me. But before I let certain things slip by, I did message every single one of people in those parties to see if they needed any help, to let them know the party was ending, and to let them know that their host was still looking to earn something extra for booking a party off of that one. And from that, I booked 4 parties. From that, I got some last minute sales for my hosts. From those things and those income producing activities that I did keep myself, that were a priority, that I did keep accountable to, I still was able to find a little bit of silver lining in last week. Those things are important, right? being truthful, being accountable. If I just showed up on my group page like I hadn't been missing for 3 days and said, what are you guys doing? You should be doing XYZ. Like I've been doing everything. That's not real. And they can see right through that. That's just BS to them, right? We're pretending, walking through these motions. And I actually had someone who just joined our group, probably within the last 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer than that, chime in and say, you know what? I was reading this and just felt moved to comment because I was struggling through these things I didn't get done that I wanted to get done. And I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that it's okay to do those things. It's okay to not necessarily do everything you plan to that week, but to be accountable and to show everyone that that's okay. The bounce back is even stronger, right? We can bounce back from those things. That's not the end, right? Tomorrow's a new day. Next week's a new week. Next month's a new month, that type of thing. So I think that's really, 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 really huge. I think that sometimes we can easily get
the whole
wrapped
thing.
up. We can easily get wrapped up in portraying a certain image that we have it all together, or that we're doing all these things, or we don't, where we can't improve. That I feel like that's a total turnoff. I appreciate the person that's like, my life is chaotic. My kids have been sick for the last 6 weeks on a circle thing. I'm barely sleeping. Time changes got me all out of whack, but I'm here because I'm ready to work and I want to put work in where I can. And I'm here for y'all. So I really, really, really think that matters. And going into another thing is, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way. So I'm trying to choose, I don't want it to be harsh, but everybody is going through everything. I just realized I ate a piece of candy and my tongue is blue. Everybody is going through something. Everybody has a story. Everybody, I mean, if I'm completely transparent, last month I lost my grandmother, who is I grew up with her. She's the second mom, to COVID. So months before that, we all my kids have been sick for 6 weeks, right? I got sick on Monday. The list of things that happen in life are for everyone. And I always say this to my husband. He's like, hey, like, no one can tell you, just because your battle in your eyes may not be as big as someone else's battle, right? It may be big to you. And we're all going through those things. And even when I'm going through those things, I still try to show up. Now, don't take it as you can't take a break, because everyone handles things differently. There's some people that, and I think Chloe has touched on this, where if she had some days she has to like turn off for a day, but in all reality, she'll tell you she doesn't turn off for a week. She doesn't turn off for a month. She'll bounce back that next day and be like, I know y'all missed me. I was struggling, but I'm here to work my tail off now because I didn't do yesterday. And now I got to do 2 times harder today. So all of that is great. And all of that is something great for you to work through, but we also have to keep ourselves accountable and say, you know what? Everyone's probably going through something. And for me to not just show up for my people, I'm going to take my 10 minutes, my whatever, but then I'm going to show up for them because they could need me today too. And I think sharing that relationship and being that close with a lot of my frontline, it's very easy for them. When I lost my grandmother, it was very easy for them to say, you know what, she's going through it. And Tori always shows up for us. We got it. Everything needs to keep running. And it did. The entire page ran like I wasn't even there. Like, Tori who? We don't miss her. We're still running this. Let her do what she's got to do. And I think when you invest in your people in that way, and you connect and they understand and it's a different one-on-one relationship. I really, really, really pride. I am so proud of my group page. Extremely proud. And we do something a little bit different in that group page where we actually have had, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Eddie. I call her Eddie all the time. I know her outside of Cincy. But she hit director literally a month or 2 months into her. I think I was 4 months in or 6 months in, and she was 2 months in. So we were both very, very new when she hit director. And she actually did not leave my group page. That does not work for everybody. It does not. But Eddie's team was very small, and she asked that she could stay. She wanted to tag team the group page. And up until this point, we have done that. Her entire group is still on our group page. And we, for somehow, and maybe because we were friends outside of Cincy, that has just worked for us. So I think as a leader, you have to kind of gauge what works for you. And if something works, don't feel like you have to change because you read something, or, I mean, do trainings, soak up other things, and look at other points of view, because all of that information is useful, but for you to make a decision for yourself. I am seeing comments. Yes, there is no right or wrong way on how to do things. And as you go through, things may evolve and things may change. In a year from now, Eddie may come to me and say, you know, I really want my own page. My group is big. I'm feeling real good. I think I just want to go. And that's fine. Right. So, and we've actually did a pulse check multiple times, like, hey, she's like, are you about to kick me out? No, I'm not. I'm just making sure, you're growing, I'm growing. I want to make sure that we're still doing this good. And it's to the benefit of both of us. I don't want you to feel like you're obligated. So that kind of thing. So I think it's very important for everyone to expose themselves to a lot of other leaders, a lot of other ways to do things, and make the best decision for you and for your group, and understand that decision may change, just like your why. When you join, it's not the same 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. Something that was working then may not work now. I mean, I think we all see that in our businesses, right? 1 month, something is popping, and then 2 months later, it's not anymore. Now we need to figure out something else. So I think leadership is very much the same way. Keep pulse checks on how you're leading, what's received, what isn't received, right? If I'm doing a challenge every single month and my group's just not vibing on a challenge, or they're challenged out, or they're check-ined out, or whatever, I'm going to switch to something else. So your leadership things are going to evolve over time. And I think it's really great to explore different opportunities, different ways, right? And if you feel like you're stagnant, it's time to regroup. Even if you have to reach out to other leaders, see how they're doing things. I think it's very great not to feel like once you make a decision that it's permanent, right? It's not. So to me, I think it's very huge to kind of figure that out for yourself. But don't feel obligated to do one thing or another. And then another thing that I really, 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 really do, and I think I kind of realized that I'm not as organized as I could be. I think Ray or Katie posted something about checking in as a leader. What do you do consistently? And Ray actually sent me a checklist. I don't have a checklist for a leader, and I had to be honest. And I think I've definitely shared in one-on-one conversations with Katie, and I did right when she reached out that I'm kind of like a squirrel. And there's a lot of things that I've been trying to get better at. Google Docs was one of them. You would think I'm in the IT field for my 9 to 5 that I would be way better, but I'm in more of the security aspect then. So didn't use Google Docs for the longest. Finally got my templates. It was so much easier to do shout outs throughout the month and do emails by using those templates. I think I expressed that to Katie. The other thing was a YouTube channel. I'm just starting to get my YouTube channel, get the feel for it. and started uploading the lives that I do on my page as a training on my YouTube video, so that it's easy to just send a link. That was something that Katie had suggested. I finally got myself. So just because, I promoted to star director last month, and the month before that, I just figured out Google Docs. Like, it's okay to not have it all together. But I think the biggest thing is to want to continue to improve, to want to be able to offer. I wanted to be able to offer my frontline and people joining under them a resource from training without having to dig through all the live videos that I did in our group page. Like, that's not fair. Digging through all of these things in the group page, trying to search on Facebook, was just so frustrating. So to do those things and to push yourself out of your comfort zone early is really ideal. Doesn't always work that way. So you want to pick out the things that you think would be most valuable. Your trainings on YouTube, extremely valuable. To not have to repeat yourself. It's easy when someone joins to just send them something, versus trying to go through everything that you do. I always forget stuff, always forget stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that too. I'm sorry, I didn't mention it. So those trainings are really easy just to refer back to. So if you haven't started one of those, definitely take some time and try to invest. And if you need to go back to get those videos, you can actually go back to them on a desktop and do like this little dot thing and download those videos and then put them on YouTube. I went back and got some of my old ones. So those things are really helpful. The other thing that I do is really leading by showing, the how I'm working hashtag is real. I literally, anytime, literally all the time, when I go on my group page, it's normally because I've just done something and I'm like, hey guys, have you considered X, Y, and Z? Literally every single LTO is probably repetitive at this point. Matter of fact, I had someone do it for me recently. I shouldn't even say for me. They did it for the entire group because I think I've done it so many times that it's now habit for them. Sending out emails. A lot of people don't use the email portion, their contacts in Workstation, to send out an email, or they forget. They're only posting on their VIP page or on their stories or whatever. I send out an email every single drop, religiously, beforehand, after, the day of, whatever. So I normally will take a screenshot of the little message that you get, email sent, whatever, and say, hey, don't forget to send out your emails. I don't ask really anybody to do anything. Normally people jump in and show, yep, done, and they're sharing screenshots. It's almost became like this repetitive thing at this point. It's like second nature. And I just remembered the other day, one of my frontline jumped right on there and was like, don't forget to send your emails, reminded me in the midst of Noah's birthday, like, oh crap, I gotta send, let me get this email out, get them all the information, make sure they have the shopping link, all that kind of stuff. So I really show by leading. And another reason why I think that it's received most of the time is because if I got on my page and was like, you guys should be making sure you do blah, when you get to the you, right? And it's not we, hey, we gotta remember, let's do this, we're doing this together. And it's you should be checking in, you should be sending an email, I feel like it becomes like you're their boss, right? I'm no one's boss. This business ultimately is yours. What you want to do with it, your goal in it, that's for you to decide. I want to know because I want to support you in whatever that is, right? If it's to make extra money, if it's just because you want to I want to know your goal because I want to be able to help you get there. But ultimately that decision is yours. Now at my 9 to 5, I'm a little bit more bossy. Say, hey, you need to deliver this by X, Y, and Z. Different scenario, but I feel like actually sharing, saying, hey, don't forget X, Y, and Z, here's mine because I just did it. Or, hey, I'm doing blah. Or, hey, I feel like it's much more received you showing that you're doing these things rather than to pretend like you're not. So I really do. And I think Chloe had shared something like, how do you lead? I really am. I'm not about to talk. I'm not going to talk about everything that I'm doing. I'm just going to show you this is really, I'm not going to go through a 6-page paragraph on all of these things. I'm just going to get right to it. This is what I'm doing. Hey, send out an email. Hey, and it literally is a one-liner like that. So I think that your delivery and showing them really like, this is really what I'm going through, right? Or when I share at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, Happy Mail, Scentsy Club, like I'm not telling you that I'm working till from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. majority of my weeks. I'm literally going to show you. When you hit me up at 11:30, I'm up here working because those are my working hours, because my kids don't go to sleep till 8:30 and I don't get downstairs until 9:30 after I've tidied up or, whatever dinner. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to show you the parties that I have going. Every time I do follow-ups has been a huge thing for the last few months. I've really, 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 really harped on follow-ups. And when I share my follow-ups, I share my to-do list from AMI. Right now, I got 150 to-dos to do tomorrow. I'm going to show them that before screenshot. I'm going to check in when I'm done. And then in the midst of that, I even show them what I'm writing to customers. I don't give them their personal information, but the message, right? Like, am I following up on samples? Am I following up because they haven't bought a while? Am I following up just to see what they like? Because the biggest thing I've harped on is you should not be following up with somebody looking for a sale. Huge turnoff. That's a salesman. That's collect call. I don't want to collect call. You should be following up to genuinely want to know what they like, when they didn't like, make a note, right? And sometimes I'm just following up saying, have a great day. That's what my follow-up is. I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. That's it. So I show them physical messages that I'm sending, a variety, so they can see this is what I'm not going to tell you, hey, do your follow-ups, because that might not be helpful to you. But if I show you the messages that I'm sending, if I show you that on Wednesdays, those are my follow-ups, and this is where I started, and this is how many I did, and I didn't finish, so I have to do the rest on Friday, and here's me checking in again. It's almost like it's literally accountability group is what it seems like it is, right? And maybe it's just me. That's my way of keeping myself accountable, because I can slip on follow-ups real easy if my Wednesday gets busy. So that's kind of how I use it. And I really think being completely transparent, showing those messages, showing my email wording, showing them that I include the link, and I include images this way, and this is how I use Google Docs, and here's a screen recording of me using Canva, and it does take a little bit more time, right, to take those screenshots and to do, but there's so many people that once they see, they're inspired. They're able to put their own words on paper. They're able to connect in a different way. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't even think to say that way. When I'm booking parties, how I write that, the things that I include, that people, I'm like that. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think to word that way. Or I didn't even think to do that way. I just feel like it produces and provides ideas and a sharing that you're not copying what I'm necessarily doing, right, word for word, but some of these things can be replicated. And you will get good feedback. And then it becomes this, this choo-choo train that once the wheels start turning, it's like, oh, they got it and they're gone. So I think just recognizing that is, and doing that little bit extra is kind of just like literally showing the way, right? And that's one of the things that a lot of the leaders have shared here. You literally show the way. It's just show it. And if they pick it up and they have the initiative to go and do that, it's fantastic, right? We're all succeeding. We're all learning. We're all providing these different things. And it's so huge. And then I think I've talked really quick. But the other thing so if I'm like blasting through, I really apologize. That's just what I do. Is something that I think about is kind of, I know this sounds, and probably the mom in me, but like treat people how you want to be treated. Lead how you would want to be led, right? When I first started in my career, I was trained to a certain degree that it's like, some of these people or need training in a different way, right? Or some of the people in my career field, they hire people and they're just kind of like out for the wolves, right? They have to try to figure it out on their own. So in that industry, I think I've learned a lot of good and bad. And I think when I joined Scentsy, it was like, okay, if I was in here from scratch and kind of just out here on my own, what would I want if I felt that way, right? What would I want if I wasn't able to really grasp all these concepts and I was a more visual learner? What would I want if I wasn't a visual learner, but I'm more of like a checklist person? So I try to think of those things, and yes, it's a little bit extra, and a lot of it probably stems from my regular job, right? Because I have to figure out how everyone, kind of like it, literally like a teacher, you have to figure out how everyone learns. So you kind of have to have that connection. You have to be paying attention to those things, and try to provide those resources. If it's a YouTube video, right? Because that's why I wanted to do that, is some people need to replay things. They need to be able to pause Tori and go back to something, or reverse, or they need to be able to have that in their pocket so they can be like, oh, what did she say about that? I know she said something about that, but I can't remember. Or there's other people that want to write a checklist down, or they want to be like, okay, well, I know you say follow-ups, but what do you really mean by follow-up? What does that really mean? Or you say to be genuine. That's like one of my biggest thing, is to be genuine, right? Be true, be genuine. And they're like, well, what does that really mean to you? What do you mean when you say be genuine? So I think trying to put your mind and say, well, who would I want to learn from? And if I was learning from that person, what are the main things that I would really want them to pass down to me, so that I can, get going? And I also think back to where I struggled, right? Where were the things that I struggled the most in that somebody else may struggle in and not say anything? Was it with parties? Was it figuring out wording? Was it figuring out what to post to my VIP page? I don't know what else to post anymore. I'm not creative like that. Was it the list, right? And another thing is, I've had some of my frontline consultants say, hey, like, I know I'm a consultant now, but being on your VIP page helps me see different ideas. Would you mind? Like, I won't, my biggest thing is like, don't copy word for word what's on my, like, you don't have a son named Noah, or don't do that. Okay. You don't have those things. Don't do that. But the idea is there, make it your own, because you want to be you, right? Your people didn't connect with Tori, otherwise they'd be buying from Tori. They connected with you, so you want to be you, but the context of what this is could give you ideas. So I have left some consultants on my VIP page that have asked for that little bit extra, because I acknowledge that not everybody is like a weirdo on Pinterest getting ideas or whatever to put on their page. So I think recognizing those things and understanding that not everyone is going to learn the same way you did or someone else did, and being flexible, but also realizing, like, what kind of leader would I like or need? What kind of leader would my best friend need? Like, let's think of people that are close to you that are different. My sister and I are drastically different, and think of those things to kind of be ahead of it. It isn't for the faint of heart. Leading is not always easy. It does take the extra mile. It does take patience and outside the box thinking and that kind of stuff. And it is not easy, right? When I'm already down behind in Happy Mail and VIP page and these things to show up, and in my life, my kids are sick and this and that, and I'm like, and I go back to the priority, right? Be honest, right? I personally make my people a priority. And by my people, I mean all of my people. I don't pick and choose my people. It's all of my people. That's my VIP page people. That's my family. That's my people that chose me and said, you know what, Tori, you're the person that I want to lead me. I make them my priority. So I show up. I don't, go on a hiatus and then come back like nothing happened. That's not fair. And if you think that they don't recognize, like, you've been gone for a week and you just bounce back like you ain't been gone for a week. Hello, where have you been? So obviously things come up, but being honest and accountable to that is so important. And I think I'm very transparent. A lot of people know, my husband will tell me all the time, why didn't you tell everybody your business? I'm like, I don't have nothing to hide. I don't have nothing to hide. Someone out there can relate to the chaos that I went through at some point, and they might be able to give me a few pointers on how to get through it. So it is what it is. And I think being that, people will just appreciate that more. And I can tell you one thing, I can count on every single one of my leaders, every single one of my front line. If I was in a pinch and needed someone to show up for me, I'm willing to bet that Cincy check today, they're showing up for me. And it's vice versa. So I think having that one-on-one relationship, I know that sometimes, I've had my expansion of people known as I lived under a rock before has been huge. There's so many new souls that I've met. We really ride for each other. Like, we are really riding for each other. And it is so incredibly huge. And my VIP page is very much the same. They really do ride for me when it comes to sharing. Like, I've had people come up to me and say, to my thing, just there it goes. So-and-so told me that you're just so awesome. Like, you're so great. I'm like, I don't think that. That's why I'm here. I'm literally blown away by that. So if you think you're like your front line and even past your front line, right? You connect and you build those relationships. It literally changes the entire game. It really does. Our group is literally, it just feels so good. And outside of this group, I've connected with some of you leaders on here. I've connected with that I would have never met. And it's just great. And sharing that, it's contagious, right? So I think that's really all I have. I know I really did word vomit, so I apologize for that. And I know Ray and them said tips and tricks, and maybe these are tips. I don't know. I thought about this since they asked. I'm like, it's really, I don't have like this golden ticket or this thing. It's really about the foundation. And really just being real, right? There's so much fake in this world. Oh, we just don't have, so many people, they just don't have time for that anymore. It's all around us. We don't need that. We just need the real cut and dry, like, this is what it is. And I think the response to that will just be insane for everyone. So
those were your tips and tricks. Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
That was exactly what we all needed, literally. Okay. And the fact that you just came out and you were like, you just need to go out there and lead whatever you're doing, just share it basically, and be a good, genuine person, like, and care about other people's successes and just share what you're doing. Like, that's really what it boils down to. There's no right or wrong way to lead, guys. Technically, Katie and I are supposed to have different leadership groups because we're SSDs, and we have the same leadership group with all of you guys. So the fact that Tori and Edlin are on the same page is perfectly fine. If that's what works for you guys, then do it. I think I took all the notes, just FYI, okay? And I needed a reminder on a lot of things that you said, because we do evolve. The longer you're in leadership, you have to go back and reassess what you've been doing, and if it's still working, and if it's working for you. Not only is it working for you, but is it working for your team? in your group and the people that
Yep.
are on the journey with you. But a lot of people, I think, are just like, we're overcomplicating leadership. We're overcomplicating it, okay? There's no right way to do a coaching call, right? Just get on the phone. You know what I want you guys to start? Get on the phone or text your people and ask them what they need help with.
Yep. So I'm just going to divulge. I don't think I've ever like, and this may be crazy and like they go back, not the right or wrong way. I've never, actually I take that back. Once I had a new join and she asked for a FaceTime to kind of walk through stuff and I did it. I have never really set up like, hey, let's set up a coaching call. I have though reached out to, my front line and even past that and said, hey, working on training, working on like, what are you focused on? Where are you struggling? What do you want to see from me? And I've done that. And then I've also reached out to like, people that I'm seeing in the group saying, hey, like, where are you going? You're working towards this. What do you need for me to get there? So don't feel like you have to schedule a certain time, right? Don't neglect it. So if you realize that you're slacking in that area, make it an intentional point to do it. But I think the biggest thing is really do what works for you and working for your team. And if you realize that something's not working for your team, even though that might have been the way you want to do it, you might have to just change and adapt, right? Everyone feed them a different way. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing, like, I know a lot of you guys are scared to lead. Like, it's okay to be nervous, but the only way you're going to get better at it is by stepping up and just talking to your people and just asking them, what do you need? What do you want training on? What can I help you with? What do you want to see in the team page? Stuff like that. So, Tori, I think you rocked it.
Thank you. A lot of word vomit.
No,
I did write notes.
Yeah, I wrote a ton of freaking notes just so you know. I'm about to go back over them before I go to bed. Katie, do you have anything to add?
I learned so much from you because, me and Ray only joined a few months after I joined, so we're pretty close, like, month-wise, and that nobody has any clue what they're doing, y'all. There's no book on how to be the best Scentsy leader. I fail daily, I fail monthly, I fail weekly. But at the end of the day, I'm human. And you don't have to be perfect. And I think people feel like in order to be a leader, they need to be ready to lead. I know for my team, like
kids.
I would have given up a long time ago if I didn't have people depending on me. Because when I do sponsor, I have a very high active front line. And I have a very high active front line because of the relationships that I have with them. This is a relationship business, whether it's with your customers, whether it's with your teammate. I am a firm believer that when I sponsor them, I just don't deuce out on them. I have a due diligence to show up for them, even when I don't feel like showing up. I still show up for them, even if it's messy, even if it's not cute. Even if I'm a train wreck or I'm going through something, I think it's very important to show your team, like, yeah, you've had a crappy month or this is going on in your life, but look at you still showing up. And I'm a firm believer, y'all will hear me say this all the time, you have the power to empower other people, because when I look at people or the leaders that I admire in this company, or just when I nursed, the leaders that I looked up to when I was in nursing, the leaders I looked up to were the ones that had no clue what they were doing, but would work in the trenches with me. My favorite leaders were my supervisors that didn't sit at a desk while we were drowning in a patient load. My favorite supervisors were the one that would get out on the floor when we were shorthanded and work it with me. My favorite supervisors were the one that would come in and they're coughing their head off and they're like, we have a job to do, we're going to get it done. Those were the people that I look up to. And in Scentsy, the people that I look up to are the ones that are train wrecks, right? The ones that have such jacked up stories and jacked up lives. They're my favorite because I don't want perfect either. I don't want to look at somebody and be like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. And I'm the only one that feels like this. And I feel very, very, very alone in this. How can I lead when all these other people have it together? They're better leaders than I am, because I can guarantee you some of our teams look at some of us and say, they got it all figured out. They're perfect. I'll never be able to do that. So I'm not even going to try. And leadership is anything but that. The day you sponsor is the day that you become a leader. And Tori put it simply, sharing what you're doing. And that was my biggest takeaway, because I'm going to get back to, that's how I'm going to post on my team page. I got so far away from that because I'm like, look at all this content. Let me just post and post and post this, where I need to say, this is what my follow-up text messages were to my Facebook party people that ordered. This is how I booked this party. This is how I had this sponsoring conversation. This is how I did my earn a kit, and show them. I love how you said put a pulse on it, because I often don't do that. I'm like, let me just get it done just to say that I post on my team page today. Let me just post something that somebody else posted and post it up there. And I need to be intentional with how am I working and showing them this is the result of X, Y, and Z. This is what happens. This is my PRV because I booked 1, 2, 3, 4 parties, but this was the message I sent to get those parties booked. So I loved everything that you said, and it was a wake-up call for me, and I needed it. If nobody else needed to hear what you said, I need to hear what you said, because we do Ray said it perfectly. We overcomplicate it, right? Because there's other better leaders that have been doing it for a while, or she's a director, or she's a star director, and it gets messy. It gets messy when literally all you have to do is show up as you. At the end of the day, you are a lead consultant because somebody chose to go to your website, saw something in you that they wanted to join under you. Yep. So at the end of the day, you have something that nobody else has. They went to your website to join under you.
Yep.
So show up for them. Show up for them. And I can promise you, it's going to make you want to show up for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's going to make you want to show up.
Yep. Yep. All right, y'all. Well, I'm loving this. That was a 50-minute call. So
yeah, I thought it was gonna be much shorter. I was like, oh God, my note list is not very long. This is gonna be bad.
No, you killed it. Literally, you killed it. Like Katie said, I needed that reminder of everything that you just said, to just get back to the basics and just literally stop overcomplicating it and just share what you're freaking doing. Like, we're all doing something in our business, right? There was like 26 of us up here at one point. All 26 of us, okay? We made it a priority to be on here tonight, okay? To learn something. Why? Because you want to grow in your business and you want to be a better leader, clearly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be up here. Because I'm sure you have something, sorry, that was a gnat. I'm sure you have something else that you can be doing right now, right? It's 8:50 at night. I know that probably some of you want to be in bed or with your kids or your husband or your spouse or whatever, doing whatever, okay? So thank you guys for making this a priority. Tori, thank you for coming up here and sharing everything that you shared, because I know that every single person up here got something from it, okay? So
I hope so.
Like, you never know that one that you share could change somebody's business. And everything that I do in my personal business right now is because somebody shared it with me. It's not because it was my brand. Somebody shared it with me. Somebody shared this on a page the other day. This is a dish towel. I've been making dish samples the hard way. Somebody posted these little dish rag tabs. You put 1 or 2 drops of dish soap, and they just add water to it, and it blows up into a wash rag. Freaking brilliant.
They have face sponges like that too.
Yeah,
like the facial
right. The little circle ones, and then they get bigger.
I actually had a customer message me and was like, what is this sponge in this bag? I need it for work. I was like, face sponges, here you go. And they bought dish soap to go on those for work. I was like, what in the world?
Literally just
everything came from some.
And they're like the same ones that we got in our Whiff box that one month, a couple months ago, the lemon one.
Oh,
I'm on Amazon, but I'm gonna send them to everyone who ordered from the flash sale. So, because they get, they get bigger, but they're super thin and easy, lightweight. It's mail.
Mail.
So
those
all right, y'all. Well, I will upload this to YouTube. Okay, so give me some time. I'm gonna upload it tomorrow because it takes, billions of years to upload for me. So, all right, y'all. I hope you guys have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.